Welcome, folks, to our weekly podcast on uh, best business practices and leadership. I'm Paul Raggio.
And I am Lisa Raggio, and we are very excited to be partnering with The Signal to be providing you a weekly podcast. We're here today, tomorrow, in the future to help you find your way, whether it's through this pandemic or just ongoing. We want to help you in regards to building up your business to be a commercial, profitable enterprise that can work without you.
You know, one of the things that we do that's really high value to any of our clients and prospective clients is to do a business health checkup. And if you were to take advantage of this opportunity, we'd be able to talk to you about how you can improve your net profit drivers, how you grow existing business. You know, what are some of the ways that you'll find new channels and maybe even modifying your business model? How do you build a strong competitive advantage in the marketplace? How do you create a robust marketing strategy and then focusing on key business drivers? This is a great opportunity for you to take advantage of meeting with us, and it's free and there's no strings attached, but we certainly encourage you to do that if you haven't met with us before. And today we have a great opportunity to provide you with two tools that you can put in your toolkit to help your business grow in the future. And the first one, it's an acronym, and Lisa will be talking you through it. It's DGLPA. And then the second one is another acronym, IVVM, and we're going to explain both of those. Lisa,
Excellent.
do you want to go through the DGLPA?
I do. This is one of the greatest exercises. We went through this and we continue to give this to prospective clients or just audience members because it's really a tool that can help you in regards to getting an idea of where you're at and where you can be. So this is an engaging opportunity for you to find a piece of paper, a pen, because you're going to want to write down vertically, top to bottom, on the left-hand side of a piece of paper, DGLPA. And I'm going to go through each one of these letters. I'm going to give it a word, and then I'm going to give some questions per that word. And we want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. And we're going to start, D is for dreams. So audience members, how often do you dream? And do you dream big? Is it limited or unlimited? Do you share your dreams? Do you have a dream journal, a bucket list, a vision board? And how actively are you dreaming? So on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself. And then we have G for goals. How many of you think in terms of goals, setting goals? Do you have 5, 3, 1-year goals? Do you write them down? Do you write down your goals? And do you share your goals? Those are all important things. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, how would you rate yourself? And then we have learning. How often are you engaging in learning new things? And that can range from if you're a business owner or organizational leader, or you're emerging in either one. Are you reading about leadership? Are you watching a TED Talks? Are you listening to a podcast? How often are you learning and consuming information, or your industry as well? And then you have planning. How often do you set aside time to plan? And if you are a business owner or organizational leader, do you have a business plan? Do you have a strategic plan? Do you have a succession plan? What happens to the business if you don't show up for 3 months? Do you have a contingency plan? What is something that is ongoing in operations, but if it stopped working, what's the contingency for that? So how often are you planning on a scale of 1 to 10? And then last but not least, A is for action. So are you more reactive and procrastinate? Do you wait for something to happen and then that causes you to take action? Or are you proactive and you initiate? And ultimately, if you really stop and think about you and your organization or business, how often are you maximizing your potential and the potential of your organization? Scale of 1 to 10. So if you do that, if we use multiplication for this and not addition, because that leaves a bigger impact, and we're all about impact when you're looking at this, you want to multiply those 5 numbers against each other. So that means that in a perfect world, if somebody scored a 10 out of 10, it would be 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, which would be 100,000. And that would show you the maximum amount of points you would get. And so now you know what your number is. We encourage you to put down the date today and put that somewhere in your office, or taped up in your bathroom where you can see it on a regular basis, because this is an opportunity for you to get an idea overall of where you're at. And then we encourage you to look at those little places that you may see a difference between the numbers, and where you can start to pay attention to something more. And by paying attention to it just a little bit more and making small changes, what of those can make a big impact for you and your business and your organization right now? So Paul, let's go through the D. And by the way, there's a method to this, right? This isn't random, the order in which we talk about these things, because it starts with dreaming. And if you haven't been dreaming, you got to dream again. It all starts with the dream. So Paul, share some things about dreaming.
Yeah, what we do in our one-on-one sessions with coaching clients is we start with what we call an alignment session. And during that alignment session, uh, the first half of the session, and it generally goes anywhere from 5 to 6 hours in duration. The first half of it is really focusing on what are your dreams? I mean, think about this. Why did you go into business? What is it that you're trying to accomplish at some end date in the future? Sooner or later, the business goes someplace. It either remains in existence, it's a legacy business that you grow and you may pass down, or you sell the business, or you just decide to continue with the business while you're there and maybe turning it over to a general manager, and you have passive income off of it. Whatever the reason for it, it starts with why did you go into business? And the why is centered on what are your dreams? And those dreams are connected from both a personal standpoint. Where is it that you want to be when you retire? If you have a significant other, do you plan on retiring to a type of home or a geographic area? Do you plan on having things like a boat or some other things that would be a hobby or some type of enjoyment for you? What are those things that you desire to have, and how do you see that fitting into your overall life dreams?
Mhm.
And what we have found in working with clients is they don't dream big enough. In fact, some have stopped dreaming. They get so caught up in their business, it's just working day to day. So as part of our coaching program, we want to make sure that we understand where are you headed and why are you going in that direction? Because a lot of that, to include your dreams, trickles down into how you position your business and how you present it to a prospective marketplace.
Right.
So the dreaming piece becomes really important. And what have been some of your observations with it, Lisa, with some of our clients?
Well, I think that we're committed to taking an integrative approach, and that means that we look first and foremost about the person's life, and that may include, the person wanting to include their family. You said the alignment report. We have had instances in which our clients bring in their partner or their spouse, because what we're going to concentrate on first and foremost is what is the big dream and vision for your life first. And the business then should be built on how to support the vision and dream you have of your life, not the opposite. A lot of times that's what we see coming in, which is, well, my business, my business, my business. Well, we got to first look at what is it that you want to accomplish in your life, and what's your legacy? How do you want to make an impact? And to even think about that thought of a commercial profitable enterprise that will work without you. A lot of business owners that we talk to, they're stuck at a certain place and don't know how to make the next best step, and where they're going to go. They're better than they were, but they are not near where they want to be. But what we've also heard is, I don't want to dream too big because I don't want to be disappointed. And so it's kind of like going back and rewriting the script. It's breaking it down and saying, let's come to this now with a clean slate. And as you know, Paul, we spend the first probably 90 minutes on the DISC behavior assessment, which is an excellent tool in regards to behavior, motivators, and communication styles that helps people personally, if not more professionally, it helps them personally, if not as much or more in regards to professionally. But it really gives them some time to kind of settle in and know we're going to be spending the day together and think in terms of being unlimited. So that's the dreaming part. And then goals, G for goals. I would say, Paul, you and I both said this a few months ago. One of the things that we learned throughout this last year is we feel good about saying that we've become goal specialists, because we really got into the breakdown and the art of what it means to be setting and achieving smarter goals. And that came from continuous conversations with business owners about how to break down the dream to the goal to the objectives so that you can actualize those things. So goal setting can be powerful, and what makes it achievable is creating smarter goals. And first, you got to dream. You gotta have the dreams, because what do you set your goals for if it's not then to be supporting your dream as your vision of the business? Anything that you want to add about goal setting?
The goal setting piece is really a discipline, and it's a discipline that you not only have in a business life, but you have it in your personal life too. So, for example, if you have a goal to buy a new car at some point in time, you have to have the discipline to think through, okay, when can I afford it? What type of car do I want? What's the research I do in arriving at the type of car I want? How do I set aside the money each month in order to be able to get to the point where I can afford the car? It's the same thing in business, is that this is a discipline, and it's a discipline that's really required if you ever want to look at scaling your business, as well as getting to the point where you can have someone running your business and you use it again as a method of passive income. So looking at goal formation and goal development is critical. And it's the first step in really thinking through a planning process, which is what the P stands for. And so if you're in business and you aren't planning, in other words, if you don't have an annual plan, you're already behind the power curve. This is something that you should be thinking through, for example, in 2021. And let's use a simplified model. What are the three things that you believe you have to accomplish in 2021, and why? Why is it that you need to accomplish those? Is it to increase your revenue? Is it to generate more leads? Is it to convert more leads to clients or customers? What is it that you need to do in 2021 to achieve some of those goals that we're talking about, that you're contemplating? And whether it's a 1-year goal, a 3-year goal, or a 5-year goal, or beyond that, what is it that it's trying to attract you to get to ultimately your dreams? Becomes important that you do this so that the discipline itself of goal formation and goal development has a direct correlation to how finite your plans are going to be. And the better your plan is, the more likely you're going to achieve those goals that you want to eventually get to your dreams.
Right, right. And bearing in mind that the goals are progress pillars that are telling you if you're going in the right direction towards your vision or your dream. They're not the be all end all. They're to support you getting to your dream or your vision via your mission. And then we have L is for learning. And we know you got to start with dreaming and dreaming again and dreaming big and keeping that alive. And that's through your vision board or your bucket list or your dream journal and so on. And then you want to start to think in terms of goals and writing down goals, because there is the power of the pen. The more likely you are to achieve a goal means that you've been writing them down. And then with learning, we know that once we've identified what our dreams are, what our goals are, the next thing we've got to do is we have to be in a perpetual state of being a student. We have to be committed to continuous learning. That means, okay, what are the things that I need in my toolbox in regards to learning what I need to do to achieve those goals? So it may be reading some new things in regards to your industry and what is up and coming and state of the art. It may be learning ways in which you can be self-care. I got to tell you, that's probably one of the most overlooked areas in which people don't look at for learning. They get very driven in regards to, well, and it's so important, the things we talk about with budget and forecast and planning, right? And at the end of the day, if your health isn't well, you can't do any of that. We're talking about, if you're going to be looking at your business for long-term sustainability, you have to look at yourself first in regards to long-term sustainability. And that means taking care of yourself. But a whole bunch of different ways you can learn to be supporting your goals that are going to help you achieve your dreams. So anything more in regards to learning, Paul?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of senior folks. I had executives on my staff in the past that kind of resisted learning. They thought they got to the point in their career where they knew everything. And what a falsity. I mean, there's never a point that you stop learning, whether it's making sure that you're staying current with your marketplace or current with your clients, you're current with technology. Any one of these things becomes really important for the prosperity of your business. So taking advantage of this, and really this gets back to self-examination and identifying areas that you may be weak in or have a gap. Those are areas that you should really focus on. How do I learn? And
Yes,
then
yes.
and, and then you transition to this planning phase. We talked a little bit about with goals and how they set up the plan, the learning pieces, you identify where your gaps are, and then you get into this planning phase. And then the whole part about planning, especially for businesses, is you look you look pretty deep. Where do you want to be in so many years? And it could be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever that may be. That's a bigger plan. And we'll use the word strategic associated with that. You want to look at that, and it's going to be soft at the end of the 5 years. You're going to have some uncertainty with it, but it's going to be related to your dreams and where you want that business to head. The next part of the plan, though, is really the closer in part, and that's the annual plan. You should have an annual plan. It should be identifying what it is that you want to achieve in that time period. And then even closer in than that, so you can take action, and we'll get to the action piece here in a minute, is you want a 90-day plan. What is it that you have to execute in the next 90 days in order to achieve your annual plan?
Mhm. Yeah, and last but not least is A is for action, right? So you can dream it and dream big. You can set your goals in regards to achieving the dreams. You can then build a learning plan, getting the tools that you need and the knowledge, and then the planning process. But if you do all of that and you do it all well, it's all for naught if you're not going to act on it. And I think the question that really resonates with me, it was asked of me years ago, and it's something that stuck with me, and it's what we talk about with our clients. Are you maximizing your potential? I remember the situation that was presented to me where we were talking about health and looking at, well, you're in the normal range, right? Don't worry about anything because you're in the normal range. But somebody got me thinking to say, well, what would it look like if you were in the optimal range? Why do you keep on just staying in the normal range? What would that feel like to be in the optimal range? And I thought, we don't do that. We don't ask those questions when we go to our doctors. We don't say, well, optimal. We look at, well, I'm in the normal, I'm fine. Everything's okay. But we're encouraging you to think about, what would that feel like? And what would it feel like to maximize your potential? And when I ask that, if there's something in you that stops, that means that this is an area to pay attention to. And the good news is that any of those other areas are a great place to start. So if you're not dreaming enough, start to dream, or start to write down dreams, or start to print out pictures or look at pictures or create vision boards. If you just set one goal between now and the next month, that is enough to start with in goal setting. Learn something new. Listen to this podcast. There you go. You've got your dose of learning for the day or week. And then planning, just start to think in terms of planning. And sometimes that can be enough that you just start to notice when you could be making a plan and how that can make a difference. But action requires, doing something about the previous four things and acting upon it.
One of the things that we talked about at the beginning of this was the alignment session that we do for our clientele, especially if they go into a coaching program with us. And one of the principal reasons for doing the alignment session, and Lisa and I have talked about this a lot, is you have to get your head right. I mean, if you're in business, it's really where are you internally and how are you seeing things? Is it in a positive light and a negative light? How do you see your business growing? Is it just a job or is it something that you're really passionate about and doing? And so this is the second tool we wanted to introduce to you. It's called IVVM. The I stands for ideation, V stands for visualization, the second V is verbalization, and then the M is materialization. And this is going to help you get in the right frame of mind in any type of business pursuit that you may have. A lot of professional athletes use this, and you may have heard it, whether it's a star quarterback, whether it's a professional golfer. We've seen it in many different venues, and it starts with you have an idea. This is the direction I want to head. It's attached to a dream. This is the dream. Then after you have the idea, you want to be able to visualize it, that you actually see what's happening. Say you're a golfer and you're taking a golf swing. You want to be able to see where that ball is going to end up and the second, third, fourth shot going to maybe a birdie or a par. That's what you're trying to do in terms of the visualization. Then the next step is to be able to verbalize it. The more clarity you bring to what you're trying to ideate and visualize through verbalizations, the clearer it is that you'll see a pathway to get to that. And then finally is the materialization. Once you get through those first three steps, you go to the materialization, which again ties into what we just gave you as another tool, the DGLPA, and that's that you take action. That's the materialization part of it. You take action. We always encourage you to test and measure the actions you take to see if you're really getting the return on investment that you want in terms of goal formation or goal setting, or ultimately your plan and achieving your mission and vision.
Yes, and we talk about this a lot too, Paul, that most of us have some kind of appreciation in regards to athletes, Olympians, or Super Bowl's coming up on Sunday. I know you talk about with Tom Brady, what he has done with IVVM and many other athletes as well. The mental training with an athlete is equal, if not more, they'll tell you in regards to the physical. That's where they spend a lot of their time. That's where the coaching happens. That's where the coaches have the ability to get into the athlete's head to say, no, you can do this, and to push yourself. And one of the things that I think I always say in regards to this is when people may start to hear this and go, oh yeah, that sounds all right, but you don't know about what's going on with me and you don't know my problems and it all sounds esoteric. If I just start to think about it, two things. One is we all know that when we start to think about something more and more, we start to see it more and more. And so any of you listeners that maybe it's a car, maybe you've been dreaming about, a blue Ferrari, let's just say, and I guarantee you that if I talk to you in a month, you're going to say, I don't know why, but I keep on seeing blue Ferraris. Everywhere I go, I see blue Ferraris. Well, there's a science to that. That's because you're imprinting it in your mind, and there your mind is paying attention to when you see it. And that's a part of then going down a path of focusing and achieving your goals. But the second thing in which it does this IVVM, it reminds me of the power of this thought. Everything that we have around us, if you ever underestimate what we've said or question it, just take a moment and stop and look around, because everything around you that is man-made was once a thought. So if you're sitting on a chair, that was once a thought. If you're sitting at a desk, that was once a thought. If you got a piece of paper and a pen in front of you, that was once a thought. The house that you live in, the car that you drive, everything was once a thought. And the only reason why it's here is because the person who invented it kept on ideating, visualizing, verbalizing, and then it became a material. And if they weren't able to do it in their lifetime, then the person who was inspired by their idea was the one to continue on in regards to the verbalization, the visualization, and the materialization. So that's just food for thought. Really wrap your head around that, because that is powerful. Anytime that you see form, it was once an idea. And that should be enough to tell you that if you commit to this practice, that you are going to be able to set yourself up for success and realize and maximize your potential.
So we've given you two great uh, business practice and leadership tips today. The first one is to dream and then look at your goals, learn, plan, and then take action. And then the second one is to use this other process that we've talked about in order to get your head in the right place. And that's ideate, visualize, verbalize, and then finally take action and make something materialize.
Yes, and we encourage you to go to our website, onetruenorthcoach.com. You can look through our pages. You can find out more about how we help business owners, and that can range from sales and marketing to leadership and team building. We definitely have realized at this time in the last year in regards to our subject matter expertise when it comes to planning through the COVID phases, in regards to our subject matter expertise in budgeting and forecasting and projections. And you can find out a lot more on our website. Go through all of our pages, our COVID-19 resource page. We also encourage you to go to our One True North Facebook and LinkedIn pages. And again, please consider taking us up on our offer. We continue to offer a business health checkup. That will take about 90 minutes, up to 90 minutes. But we give you a business background questionnaire with some really good questions that gets your thoughts stirring. We sit down and ask questions, and we guarantee that you walk away with greater insight and clarity than when you began. Whether or not you continue or you would work with us, or that becomes a one and only meeting, we always guarantee that you're going to have value after meeting with us. So consider taking us up on our offer, and you can click on the button on our homepage to contact us if you're interested. And thank you for listening. And we look forward to being with you next week and bringing you more helpful tips in regards to finding your way today, tomorrow, and in the future.